Welcome to the Building Interest podcast presented by Leader Bank, a series of free-flowing conversations on a wide range of banking and money-related subjects. We're here to discuss all the issues that impact your financial future. Want to buy a home, start a small business, secure your financial future, or maybe you want to maximize your savings ability or get your budget in order? We can help. Our talks with experts and influencers across the world of banking will set you in the right direction. I'm your host, Scott Barboza. Let's get to it. Everybody, welcome aboard another edition of the Building Interest podcast. A little bit of a different look here today. I'm joined by Marc Romvos, Leader Bank Senior Vice President of Business and Government Banking. Marc, welcome aboard. So great to have you here today.
Scott, thank you. Thanks for having me, and it's good to be back at the Seaport Innovation District.
We were just talking about this offline. You actually used to work out of here for a little bit.
I did. I was here when the branch first opened, worked with Savvy and her team. We did some great things here, and it's good to be back.
We've kind of become adopted team members here, I think, too, which is kind of nice. So it has a very homey feel over here. I obviously just love working out of this space. It's kind of become our de facto studio, and but a lot of other people coming through. Kind of, it's interesting with remote work. I feel like sometimes people are coming out, and you kind of see people on off hours. So it's really great.
Yeah.
It's just a great atmosphere here.
No, it is a great atmosphere, and just walking into the branch and seeing the team members Savvy. I haven't seen them probably close to 2 years now. It's good to be back and see people in person. So.
It's great to see people in person. It's great to have you here today, Marc. Now, you're a particularly interesting person, I think. You more than in 3 decades of banking experience, the last 11 of which have come at Leader Bank. You've kind of worn many hats. And what you're working on in your team that is quite literally, as we were talking about before, growing by the day almost, gets into a lot of different areas and things that people from an external perspective might not even really think about from a perspective. We'll get into some of those specifics here in just a little bit,
Sure.
But if you could just set the table and explain to people basically, what your day-to-day looks like and the clients that you liaise with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it's a good question, Scott. The business and government banking team, there's 10 members as part of the team, and we focus on certain verticals. There's 5 certain verticals that we concentrate on. Municipality space is one of them, government banking, property managers, which is a big portfolio in the bank. We're such a large residential mortgage lender.
Right.
Attorneys, again, with the residential side of that. The VC space, startup companies, is another vertical that we've concentrated on, and the professional medical services, doctors, dentists, those type of things. And we felt that we played well in those spaces, and we really wanted to kind of take our experience with the team and focus in on those and really provide the products and services that I think our clients are looking for and they need. The municipality space has been a real interesting segment that we've concentrated on. With some of the mergers that have happened over the last couple of years, that left a void out there.
Yeah, the local banking scene is really kind of shook up in the last 10 years or so.
Exactly, and they're a unique industry, and they're really all about having that personal connection, having somebody to talk to, having somebody to pay attention to them. So, and we didn't get into it, just dive right into it. We did a lot of homework. And I think, Jay challenged us with that, find out about the vertical that you're going to be dealing with and find what makes them tick. What are their pain points? And that's how we started. And it's turned out pretty good so far.
I think that was one thing in particular in our previous episodes as we talked to both Jay and Sushil about, the genesis of the bank. Obviously, this 20th anniversary year has kind of put us in that space of looking back in a lot of ways. But I think one thing that has especially rung true about the history of Leader is really being particularly in tune from a IT and a technological implementation perspective. The bank is very much a cooperative partner with businesses, whether, again, like you were talking about, whether it's a town treasurer working in municipalities or from, the VC world, being able to make sure that the technology really caters the needs. Talk us through that experience a little bit of how that is very much a collaborative effort, in that it's not just, hey, here's a product, here's how to use it, but we really want to partner with those clients to be able to make sure that we're creating an experience for them that is really beneficial.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, being a banker as long as I have, you're pretty set in your ways. Here's the products, here's the services, and that's it. Mm-hmm. What I've learned here in the last 11 years was to think differently. Mm-hmm. And senior management, Jay, Mr. Tooley, have always challenged me, at least, to sit there and think differently about how can we be a differentiator out in that marketplace. Mm-hmm. And by really sitting and talking with, whether it's a VC, startup company, or a treasurer, or an attorney, or a property manager, mm-hmm. finding out what we can provide them to make their jobs easier and more efficient. Mm-hmm. Hence, working with partners, whether it's a fintech company or our core provider, to
right.
come up with different products and services,
right.
To help them with that.
Right.
And I think as a bank, it's got such an entrepreneurial spirit, and that's what attracted me to come to Leader Bank 11
mm-hmm.
years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've really taken it to the next level by providing some of those products and services
mm-hmm.
to help our clients.
One particular focus that I know you and your staff, that again, we'll get into that in a little bit, how much your team has actually built out in the last even just year. The concentration in government banking, which I think is, for me as a relative outsider coming into the world, is largely an unknown. And I think it's kind of interesting from that perspective of, I think people might forget sometimes that, the government, whether it's federal, state, local, are businesses unto themselves and have banking needs of their own. I think that's kind of interesting from that perspective, and people might not, always think of that the government does need a banking partner to be able to run a business, essentially the business of operating the government. What is that experience like? Obviously, you're working with, treasurers across the region, but that's a very just take us behind the scenes a little bit of how those relationships kind of occur. Yeah,
it's unique. It is different than any other business that I think that I've been involved in over mm-hmm. the years. They, just like any other business, right? They have payroll. They have to pay bills. Yeah. But on that scale, you're talking about cities and towns that have, hundreds of thousands of employees.
Right.
Right. So to be able to provide them the basic services is one thing, but to be able to provide them products and services that can help them manage their cash mm-hmm. and pay bills and pay their employees mm-hmm. in a more efficient way, mm-hmm. I think that's something that other banks, or from what I've seen in the past, don't really kind of focus in on. By going in and having a conversation with the treasurer and saying, how can we make your job and your life easier? What mm-hmm. can we do? What products could we build?
Right.
To help you with that process.
Right.
And that's been real eye-opening.
Right.
Not only for us, but also for the treasurers. The feedback is nobody's ever come in and really asked me, how you can make my life a lot easier.
Right.
So
right.
that's exciting, to tell you honestly.
From that perspective, I think when people think of banking is largely, and you said it off the jump there, kind of a legacy institution, and this is the way we've done things, so this is the way it is.
Yep.
I don't want to, say anything untoward, but sometimes people do look at government and being like, this is something that's rather staid and very fixed in its ways. But I think what we're telling here is a story that's very different from that. That is very forward-thinking in trying to find solutions that'll work going forward.
They are. You still have your legacy people that, have been there and they're used to doing things a certain way. But there's a change happening in government banking. There is a new group of people, a younger set of people.
More tech savvy,
yeah,
perhaps,
exactly.
you could say?
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely tech savvy. One of the products that, we've been talking to them about is the digital escrow to help with their trust accounts. And they have hundreds of them. Some
right.
of them have 130, others have, 30. Right.
Right.
But to be able to open and close and move money at their convenience instead of having to do a lot of paperwork has really opened, some eyes on for these treasurers and to kind of help them with that process. So those are the type of things that I think as a bank progress and we get more and add more clients on the municipality side will help us, and will also get the word out there for us.
You just brought up something, Mark, that I know you and your team have been working very diligently on of recent, which is the digital escrow program through Leader Bank. Could you walk us through that product a little bit, which is very, very new here?
Yeah, it is very new. And, working with one of our fintech partners, we were part of a development team with several other banks that helped develop this product. And also we brought in clients, both on the government banking side, the attorney side, other verticals that could probably benefit from this product. And we built it around them. How can we build this product to make it easier? And it's essentially, how do you take money that needs to be segregated out for whether it's different clients for themselves, 1031 companies, different municipalities, like for your school lunches, police departments, that type of thing. That takes a lot of work, both on their part and on the banking side, because it's paper intensive. So
a lot of programs that have a lot of, whether it's government earmarks, things of that nature. You
need to set aside and keep track of those. So, that's how we developed the product to come up and try to digitize the process by, building a portal where they can go in, open, close accounts, move money in and out efficiently. So,
Mark, talk about some of those partnerships that you did mention. This is very much a collaborative effort. It's not as though, Leader is just going out there alone. We're working with a lot of, third-party vendors to be able to not only operationalize those products, but bring them to scale.
Yeah, and it's good. It's I use a lot of sports analogies, so forgive me for that.
I know we're akin on that.
Yeah. So it's it's a team within a team. Yep. You have the team. To put it in context, the team Leader Bank, and then we have another team out there that's one of our partners, a fintech Z Suites. That's who we partner with up to kind of help us develop, this digital escrow product. And with their expertise in the fintech world and bringing kind of the basic banking needs and taking it to the next level, digitizing it, and making it easier for customers. That process was really important. It was eye-opening for me. In banking, it's simple blocking and tackling, right? Here's your price, here's what you do.
Hit the hole hard.
Exactly. Here it's, by bringing in a company like Z Suite and others, they deal with different types of businesses out there, and they have that expertise that, banks don't. And I think if you're not looking at companies like that to help you put products like this in place, I think you're missing the boat.
Right.
I think it's important, especially as we grow and this world gets more tech savvy.
Right. Now, when using the team analogy that you brought up, Mark, it's the beginning of baseball season, most wonderful time of the year, right? Talk about a little about your bench, who's coming off the bench in that scenario. Your bench is not only, I would say, deepening as we go through here, but also because there are so many things that fall under your purview, finding people that not only bring like the technical acumen and the relationships, but also that delve directly into those worlds that are disparate from each other. Talk me through that process and what people coming from the outside that might be looking to join Leader Bank. From that perspective, what can we offer to them? But then also from a client perspective that might want to be working with the bank, what they're going to be able to expect once they become a client. Yeah,
I will say I am fortunate to have a great team, and we talk about this all the time. It's just not one person. It's really a team effort. The dedication and the commitment that these my team members provide is just amazing. They they listen. They go out, they do their research. The feedback is fantastic. It's not one person's way, or it's really a collaborative effort to put something together. And I think that shines through to our clients. They see that they're committed to it, they're dedicated to it. And we've brought a couple of people in from outside, from other banks. And so far, it's like a breath of fresh air for them. Coming in and seeing how we work, how engaged we are, not only with our external clients, but our internal clients also, our internal team members, I should say. Right. And everybody's always willing to go that extra step or that extra mile to get things done, to really, make sure that that client experience is exactly according to our brand Bible that we put out there. So, the team is great. I mean, I can't say enough about them.
I know we covered off of, from the 5 principal verticals that report up into you. I think we've covered a couple of those already, but let's fill in the blanks for some of those other folks that might be out there that would be interested in working with you and your team.
Yeah, sure. The property managers is the other one. And providing them with the cash management services that they need to, collect rents, security deposits, those type of things, their main operating accounts. The vertical, the VC and the startup company is an interesting vertical in the sense where these are real entrepreneurs, so they don't know a lot about banking. Yeah. And the nice thing and the fun thing about working with people like that is, I say this a lot. There are 2 things that a lot of businesses have. Okay, it's a good accountant and a good attorney.
Bread and butter.
Right, exactly. The third thing that I see a lot, not only in that vertical but in other verticals, is a banker. A lot of them don't have a banker or a good banker where they can go to and say, hey, can you help me with this? How do I do this? So we stress that a lot within our team, is to really, have that foundation, is to be that, how can I put it, that trusted advisor, to our clients. And I think that's important in the banking industry. And I think the banking industry has missed that, missed the boat on that a little bit.
The personal touch,
the relationship. Banking is a commodity. I mean, products and services, pretty much the same. It's, I think, the delivery, the follow-up, having multiple points of contact or different channels that a client or business customer can interact with the bank. Right. And I think we do that. We do that fairly well, I think. I think we do a good job with that. And I think it's always constant to make sure that's forefront in our thoughts.
Thinking back to the conversation that I had with Sushil Tuli in our episode together, and he talked about the entrepreneurial spirit and how much he really enjoys getting in the dirt with entrepreneurs that are coming to him and asking him, how do I go about this? I think thinking back in that conversation as you're talking about people coming from a VC entrepreneurship background, they're the thoughts, the ideas, the innovators, the disruptors of the world. Maybe not, like you said, always thinking from a banking perspective of how do I get this thing off the ground. How much of that, for people in that space that are coming to the bank and wanting to find that trusted partner, as you said, how much of that is a collaborative effort?
Oh, I think it's critical. It's important. It has to be. We deal, from the cash management, treasury, just deposit side of things, but we pull our other team members, our lenders. We're a top SBA lender here in Massachusetts. So the great thing about that is we find ways to try to do something where if you don't fit into a box, then you're kind of out of luck. That's not the way we look at things here. It's like we try to put something together that makes sense, not only for the bank, but for the client also. And at the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't work. But what I've found in the past is you have those conversations, and I've had clients come back and say, thank you for that conversation. You tell them, you've kind of coached them what they need to do to get to that next level. Then they come back to you. So now you've got a client that,
for life.
For life.
Yeah. Right.
So that that I think is critical, and I think it's part of our success here at Leader Bank.
Yeah. I think, speaking of success, maybe wrap it up with a little bit of just a little insight into your team, the people that have filled out that bench for you and what they bring to the table individually.
Yeah, individually, so I have Sumit, Tripti, and Susan, who just recently joined us. They're my business banking officers, and they're the ones out meeting with clients on a day in and day out, really trying to, move clients from other institutions, financial institutions, and get them over to the Leader Bank family. Then I've got a great operational staff also with Christopher and Angela, who handles all our account opening, our client, helping them with the customer service for the clients. Liza and Marc, who's on our digital banking side, so anything to do with online banking for businesses. Some of our products, our Wire Manager, ACH Manager, our Positive Pay products, so they handle all that. And then we have a lockbox specialist, John LaValle, who has been in the industry over 40 years, and just the institutional experience that he brings to the team has been amazing. So it's a well-rounded team. We learn something every day, which is exciting, I think, from a banking perspective, because people really don't, how can you learn? Banking is banking. But we learn something, at least I do. And I know the other team members learn something every day from our clients, and that makes it fun.
Speaking of learning, I think that's why we're here, and that's why we're trying to do this. And Marc, thank you so much for joining us, shedding some light into your little world. And obviously, if people are interested, reach out to you and your team.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for the opportunity, and it was great speaking with you.
This is great. We'll talk soon. Thanks, Marc.
Thank you.
For more information on today's subject, visit leaderbank.com. In addition to past episodes, you can also find our corresponding blog entries there for more insights. This podcast is a production of Leader Bank NA, equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 449250.